So, welcome to today to my podcast. I am Hayya Lee-McDonald, and we are talking real estate entrepreneurship and all the things that go in between those two things, so life in general. Today, I have on this episode John Galan. He is in the real estate investing space, and he does deals. He lives in New York and does deals outside of New York, which I think is a pretty interesting concept as well. But John's been doing this not that long, so I think that's also a huge inspiration too for anybody who's looking into getting into the space. But aside from real estate, one of the reasons that I wanted to bring John on the show today is because of his focus on mindset. And I think in this space and in life in general, having the right mindset is truly important. So without further ado, John, I want you to introduce yourself a little bit, tell everybody who you are, and what is your superpower?
Yes, thank you for having me on here. I'm honored to be on this podcast. Um, so my name is John Galan. I am from Manhattan. I live in New York City, and right now I currently wholesale deals in the state of Florida. Before I was in real estate, I was a CPA. So I had graduated college, took my CPA exam, passed that, got a job, and was working at a smaller firm doing anything from taxes to bookkeeping, audits, compilations, everything. Did that for 4 years. And then during that 4 years, every time I would do tax returns of somebody who had a lot of money, I would see where most of their money was being made. And it was real estate for pretty much all of my clients. So I started consuming content for 3 years, like most people do, consume content and don't take any action. So I did that for 3 years. And then I stumbled upon Pace on a Bigger Pockets episode and went down Pace Morby's rabbit hole, joined his free Facebook group. And then they posted, like the day after I joined, they posted about the Secret Agent Challenge 1.0, which was Jamil's challenge. And I had no idea who Jamil was or what Secret Agent Challenge was, or honestly, really what wholesaling was either. Listened to the Secret Agent Challenge, wound up getting on a call with the Astro team, and next thing I know, they're asking me how do I want to pay for the program. I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't know I was joining a mentorship, but there was something in me that just like when they asked me that question, I didn't immediately say no because I felt this in my gut, like there's a strong pull that's telling me to join, and I couldn't know why, because I always told myself I'm never going to join a mentorship. I'm not going to pay all this money to learn about real estate when I could just get it for free on YouTube. Back then,
see, that's the trick, right? A lot of people think they can learn everything on YouTube without paying and investing in themselves.
Exactly. So something told me, no, do this, like this, you need to do this. Like I felt a strong pull in my gut, and I was like, okay, you know what? Let me do it. So I ignored like the fear and like the however much it was, all of that stuff. I was like, let me just do this. So I joined Astro in December of 2021, and I was still an accountant. So January started busy season. So I started learning the course, learning Astro flipping and wholesaling while right before busy season really started, which is the third week in January. So I did as much, consumption of the course as I could. And then I just started taking action January 24th. So during busy season, I was working from pretty much 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning until about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, because I had to balance both my business, my tax business that I had on the side, and my W-2 job. So I was doing pretty much three things at once during that time. And I had got my first deal done on the last day of tax season, which was April 15th. I got my first deal done. Wasn't even
That's a nice sign off, right?
Right in California. And that was my intention too. I was like, I want to get a deal done before busy season ends.
Yeah.
I want to show that I could do this still during busy season. And I did it. And Jamil brought me up on stage on Clever Summit and shaved my beard on stage in front of like 2,000 people.
Oh my goodness! So what was what was the significance of shaving your beard in front of all these people?
I had told Jamil on the coaching calls, I'm like, because I used to just grow like I called it a busy season beard. I would just not shave from January 1st until April 15th. And then I told Jamil, I'm not shaving my beard until I get my first deal done. And then on Wholesale Hotline, him and Pace were like, let's shave his beard on stage in Vegas, because they knew I was going to Clever Summit. So Jamil's like, hey, if you get your deal done before Clever, we'll shave your beard on stage. And I got it done the week before.
I love it. That's great publicity too. I mean, you and I were talking last week about visibility and,
Yep.
being at the start of your wholesaling career. And we do have to take a step back for those people who are listening and share what wholesaling is. But, the very start of your career, that's also a great thing for you, especially the line of investing that you're in. Before we go into talking about your superpower, I want to step back a little bit. Just share with everyone. So wholesaling, you may not know about it. If you might know about it for handbags or groceries or whatever, but there is such a thing in the real estate investing space as wholesaling, and that is we buy properties at a discount of what they're valued at in the market. And so the key to that is solving problems. A lot of people think that you're going to come into the space and make a ton of money without, doing a whole lot. But the whole lot here, there's knowledge, as John shared, you acquire through learning, but there's service that you have to offer and deliver to generate the profit. And that you put problems and solutions together, and that's what generates profit. So that's what wholesaling really is. Did I miss anything about that, John?
No, wholesaling is pretty much just like you said. I mean, you got to find potential in these deals, these discounted deals. They're not really discounted. You buy them at as is value. So you have to know what it'd be worth when it's fixed up. I'm not going for these homes that really go for like conventional financing, or if you look at a house and you're like, I'd move into that house right now. I'm not looking to buy that house cash. So
well, we do it subject to, or some other creative structure, right?
It's just a different problem, right? If the seller's, has no equity, or if the seller needs to sell, and or if it's a rental or whatever. But predominantly for cash wholesale deals, those are the ones where you look at and you're like, that is disgusting. Yeah. Those are the ones that I look for. But you have to spot the potential, and you only know what potential is when you understand what it could be worth when it's fully fixed up. So understanding value is one of the biggest things you need as a wholesaler. Even in real estate in general, you have to know what the value is.
Yeah. And, well, that's a great segue too, because I think that's important in life in general. First of all, especially when you're going into entrepreneurship, you have to be able to understand the value of your time, the value of your experience, and, what are you bringing to this equation? Because a lot of people think, oh, I'm coming from something else and I'm jumping into entrepreneurship. I'm going to cast off whatever I did and experienced before. And, that's all of that has value, and you now have to bring it into the equation and bring it to bear and create success using what you've got. So talk to us about, you've gone into the space from being a CPA, something you totally didn't know about. You learned about it on YouTube, but you hadn't actually gotten your hands dirty in it until, January 24th of 2022. Yep. So talk about how you made that transition, and what is it from your personality and your experience in accounting that allows you to do well in this space?
Yeah. So my personality, I've always had like an upbeat, like can-do personality. And I was never really as big on mindset. I always was like strong with like the mind. Like I knew the mind controlled the body and all that stuff, but I was never like, and I knew like if I said I wanted to do something, I was going to do it, just because I had that pure like determination. Like I would not stop like I had did it. But from that added, and once I started getting really into mindset, that just multiplied. But from accounting, just because I did a lot of accounting and taxes for real estate clients already, so I understood like the tax implications of real estate. I was already looking at financials, looking at T12s and stuff when I was doing auditing and bookkeeping. So I already was looking at deals. I wasn't valuing them, but I was already getting into the numbers and questioning numbers and stuff like that, which helped me with like value, analyzing deals. The one drawback from that is because I had to be so like precise and as precise as possible, it amplified the analysis paralysis in the beginning because the accounting brain. But I also, from doing busy season, I had a really strong work ethic. So like if I was already doing that much work for somebody else, when it came to myself, it was already easy because nothing was changing. I wasn't working any harder than I already was for my job. If anything, it was more enjoyable because I liked it and it was for myself. But, So
and that's the thing. Sorry, John, if I may just interrupt, and I think that's the thing too with a lot of people who are coming to entrepreneurship. It is hard. It seems easy, but it is hard, and not because the task itself is hard, but the discipline that you need to have. It could be hard, if you don't have it within yourself. And so, what do you say to people who are thinking, I can't do this, or I can do this, and it's going to be so easy. What do you say to people on either side of that spectrum?
Yeah, so I say whatever you think, you're going to be right about. So if you say I
Mm-hmm.
can't do this, it's going to be hard, you're going to be 100% right. If you say I can do
Mm-hmm.
this, it's going to be easy, you're going to be right. Because at the end of the day, we don't know if it's going to be hard or easy, right? But if I say
Mm-hmm.
this is going to be hard, I'm going to find reasons why this is so hard to do. But if I say it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be easy and I could do this, I'm going to find ways to enjoy this and say like, yeah, this is easy. Like it's not going to be not frustrating at times, but
Right.
it's also not going to be hard at the same time either. Like I can
Mm-hmm.
tell you right now, I didn't think this was going to be a walk in the park, but I also didn't think it was going to be something I can't do or was going to be difficult. And I
Yeah.
don't think this has been difficult, to be honest with you, building my stuff,
Mm-hmm.
because I've had fun doing it. I've enjoyed it. I've already
Mm-hmm.
know what my vision is and what I have a clear vision of what I intend to create, and already an exit strategy that I want for this company. So by doing that and then just enjoying the process, like, and telling myself
Mm-hmm.
like this is not going to be hard, like this is going to be easy
Right.
and enjoyable. It has been. Now, have there been times of frustration? Of course. But
Mm-hmm.
those frustrating times, instead of looking at them as just times of frustration and um, problems, there are times for me to use my imagination and creativity, because these are learning opportunities, and these are necessary for me to get to where I got to go. So in order to get to the top of the steps, I have to take those steps, and those
Yep.
steps aren't going to be those times of success. Those steps are going to be those times of frustration and those times where it doesn't seem like it's going right or it's not going according to your plan. Those are the steps you got to take in order to get to
Mm-hmm.
the top of the staircase.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I look at
Yeah.
it. It's you have to pay your dues, your success tax, and if you're already knowing about that and you're like, I'm ready and I can't wait for these problems to come, and the bigger they get, the better I am, then it's
Mm-hmm.
not really a daunting task. Everything's a matter
Mm-hmm.
about your perception and your outlook of things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like I say to people, because there's no such thing. If you really boil it down, there's actually no such thing as stress in the
Mm-hmm.
world. There's just
Mm-hmm.
stressful thoughts. Okay,
It's how you
so
respond.
it's exactly. So if you
Mm-hmm.
have one scenario, right? Let's just take a divorce, for instance. One
Mm-hmm.
person could be stressed out because they don't want the divorce, and it eats them alive, and they're so upset about it. But the other person wants a divorce, is so happy to get out of that relationship, is so excited about it. Same scenario, same exact situation,
Mm-hmm.
two different results because of how they view the divorce, right? And you could do
Mm-hmm.
that with business. When you have a problem, you could either embrace the problem, be excited about the problem because now you're growing because of this problem, or you get stressed out about the problem and curl up and get overwhelmed, anxious, and completely stressed, and let that
Mm-hmm.
physically affect you. Or
Right.
you can do the opposite. So it's the way you respond to these things. These external
Mm-hmm.
circumstances, they don't create your life. It's how you respond to these things, and then as a
Right.
result of your response and your thoughts and your emotions, that's the way you create your life.
Right. I love the analogy you gave earlier about climbing the steps and taking the steps, because all I could think about is working out. When you're working out, you're doing squats or you're climbing steps or whatever. Eventually, if you do enough of them, you'll feel your legs burning. I think
Yep.
my husband says that's the lactic acid, right?
Yep.
And your body. One of my favorite trainers is Jillian Michaels, and she has this thing that she says, if you want your body to change, you have to put stressors on it.
Hmm.
Um, and that's the thing. You've got to get to that burn so that you can get to the next stage. And it's, a lot of people, I think, could like to complain and say, oh, life is hard. But like you're saying, it's a matter of perspective. It's how you approach it.
Yeah.
You can look at everything as a problem, or you can look at, well, there are problems in the world, but do you find joy in solving them? That's kind of how I look at it. In our niche in this business, we really thrive because of the problems, and we really enjoy solving those problems. So it's,
Yeah.
what do you make of it? And are you willing to embrace the challenge that it takes to get to the next step, as you said?
Exactly. And if you say
Mm-hmm.
life is hard, like I said, you're going to be right. So like you got to be
Mm-hmm.
very careful at the words you choose when you speak, and
Mm-hmm.
the thoughts that you think, because that's what shapes everything. That's what shapes your whole life, your whole reality. Because everybody's one of the biggest, like, it's called like a cosmic joke that
Mm-hmm.
reality is reality. Reality is actually an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that I'm seeing on the outside, or you're seeing on the outside, or that you see with your eyes, right, is all an illusion that is created by you and your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So because again, if I'm focused and if I'm always like negative, right, I will always walk past and I will not see what's in front of me, right? Because you don't see with your eyes, you see through your eyes. Your eyes just reflect what's ever going on up here. If I'm staring at something and it's like the way people, there's a picture. It's like if you draw a 6 in the sand, right? And I'm staring at it in front, you're staring on the other way, you see a 6, I see a 9. We're both looking at the same thing, but it's a matter of the perception that we see. So again, your eyes, you're seeing through them. You're not seeing with them. You see with your mind. So anything you create on the outside, if you have the biggest question you could ask yourself is, do you believe you live in a hostile universe or a friendly universe? If you think you live in a friendly universe, then that means that everything is conspiring with you. If you think you live in a hostile universe, you think everything is conspiring against you. And you'll only notice hostility outside instead of beauty. It's just like when you are grateful instead of complaining. When you're grateful, you're always finding things that are working for you and always finding great things to be happy about. But when you're complaining, you're always finding things to be negative about. Like the dishes. You could be doing the dishes and you'd be, oh, great, now I got to do the dishes. And now you're complaining about something, but you're not really noticing like you should be grateful that you got to do dishes because you have these things that you could eat food off of where people don't even have food to eat or can't even eat off of these plates.
You have water. You have a home.
Water, water. You could clean a plate that you get to eat food off of. Like instead of complaining about doing something, be grateful about everything in your life. And then more things to be grateful for will show up in your life.
Right. I think
it's a matter of how you view things.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point too. Gratitude is hugely important. There's a whole lot of energy. In my coaching part of my life, we have these two terms, anabolic energy and catabolic energy. Anabolic energy is energy that builds things. Catabolic is what kills things. And so there's certain words that are anabolic and catabolic, and so you, like you said, you really have to be mindful of what words you're choosing for yourself and what words you're putting out there, because you're either creating or you're destroying. So going back to one of the earlier questions that we haven't even gotten to yet, your superpower, what would you say is your superpower?
I would say my superpower is probably, I would say mindset, but I would say it's my outlook on life. I would say it's my superpower, because my outlook on life is, and I'm sure you've heard this saying before, that we are divine beings having a temporary human experience, not the other way around. So when me noticing that and knowing that, we're all connected, every animal, every human, every plant, we're connected to every fiber of everything that's on this physical, realm, because we're all emanate from the same source. We're all created. You could call it God, you could call it universe, you could call it spirit, whatever you want, in field of intention, whatever you want to call it. We all came from the same universal mind, let's call it, right? So we're all connected. And by seeing that and realizing if we are from this, unlimited power, this unlimited source that emanated us here, that means that we are also part of that source, means that we are the source, meaning we are unlimited ourselves, right? So now if I believe I am unlimited and I am divine, then that means that anything I want to do, I could do, because I have no limit. So it means there's no unlimited, there's no possibilities that I can't have, right? I have on my thing, endless creativity, unlimited possibilities. That's what I believe. That. So if I'm endlessly creative, that means any problem I have is fun, because I get to use my creativity to solve it. And now I don't view them as problems. I view them as they're exciting, right? And now if I think I have unlimited possibilities, anything I say I want to do, there is zero doubt in my mind that I'm not going to be able to obtain that. I know I will be able to do anything I want. And I hold firm to that belief, and that just trusting the source and the faith, and I just surrender and let it happen. So that's my superpower, realizing that I'm unlimited.
Yeah, I love that. And, the concept of doubt, and I'm not going to say that, I never have any doubt, but that concept of doubt, actually, I was just reading a passage in the Bible a couple nights ago, and it was about doubt. Like if you allow doubt into your mind, then how could you be blessed? Because you're just 1 foot in and 1 foot out, of what you're trying to do. So, that doubt is really a dangerous place to be. But thank you for sharing about your superpower. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And doubt's your ego. I mean, doubt is your ego completely. because when you're like disconnected from spirit, your spirit, because you have your spirit and you have your ego, and like your free will is to decide, am I going to go down my ego path or my spirit path, right? That's what it's up to you. So if you allow that doubt to creep in, that's just because you don't trust your own like divinity. When you do trust it and you believe it, you have zero doubt, and you just know whatever's going to happen, even if it's not on your own time, because again, time is a construct that we created, and if we are unlimited, then there's no such thing as time. That's why when you live in your future, you're literally time traveling. You're traveling to your consciousness. It's still real. It's still there. It's just not in the physical reality yet.
Right now.
But when you damn, I hate when that happens. I just brain farted completely.
You just had mommy brain, and you're not even a mommy yet.
I know.
You're not even a mommy.
I have a little cat sitting over here, so maybe it's daddy brain.
All right, daddy brain. Yeah.
But so I'm at the ego, and when you have that faith, and you just know that, you know, even if it doesn't happen the way you want it to, it doesn't mean it's not happening the way it's supposed to happen. So regardless, when any situation that goes on, if you just keep that faith and surrender, you're not going to feel stressed out when something doesn't go the way you want, because it's going the way it's supposed to. So you just know there's a better reason for that, and you just allow that to happen. Like if you said you read the Bible, the story of Joseph, right? He got sold into slavery into Egypt.
Look what that turned into.
And then he was in prison for, I think it was like 2 or 3 years. And then all of a sudden he interpreted the Pharaoh's dreams and then became one of the most powerful people in the whole world when the famine hit. But
the guy forgot about him first. And you have to remind him.
He sat there for another 2 years. That's what it was. He sat for another 2 years. But if you think about it, if he had it the way he wanted, he would never have been Joseph, that was one of the most powerful people in the world, because he would not have wanted to get sold into slavery. He would have not had wanted to sit in prison. And then everything happened the way it was supposed to happen to get him to where he was. So sometimes the things you want are not the things that you need to happen for you. So if you want something and it doesn't happen, don't give up that faith yet, because there's a better reason for it not happening.
Yeah. Well, you know, I have it's interesting that you've mentioned the word surrender a few times in this conversation. So last year, this is something that neither my husband or I would ever choose, you know, to have or have be part of our experience. But we had our second daughter last year, and, you know, we found out early in the pregnancy that she had this very rare disease, and we didn't know if she would live or die. She did end up dying after she was born. That is not an experience. But that's not an experience, thank you, we would ever choose. But the last thing you want to hear if you're grieving is, you know, everything happens for a reason. That's not really what you want to hear, right? But being a little bit more removed from that now, I realize now I would never choose to have that happen again. But there are things that came out of that experience that have changed me and changed how I approach this life. And so it's to the point that you're making, that it may not be how you chose or you wanted it to be, but there's value in what it is, and it's up to you what you're going to do with that when you receive it, when you're placed in that situation. And I think, you know, that's a great way to look at life that you've shared. But yeah, there's always what does it say? In every bit, I think it's the science of getting rich, right? Wells Waddles. With every something is a seed of opportunity. You probably know this.
I listen to the audiobook, and I don't retain anything when I listen to audiobooks, so I started reading now everything.
This is why I don't quote Bible scripture. I don't know the words to songs. I get it all wrong. So this is why I don't quote those things. I read now. My picture, like, I love it all, but this is, my husband is like, you don't know the words to any songs. But anyway, basically it's saying that with every adversity, there's a seed of opportunity. And I really do believe that. And it is all about how you're approaching life, how you're viewing things, because, you know, in my situation, well, what am I going to do? I'm still here. I'm still breathing. God has a reason for me being here. What am I going to do? Just crumble into the ground and die? No, I'm here, you know, for a reason. So what am I going to do that counts, you know, going forward? Every
life has a purpose. Every life has a purpose, and there's a reason for it. And you know, some lives, you know, have to end short for their purpose to be fulfilled in order to affect the change in one person or multiple people as well. You know, and then you don't realize it until you reflect. You know, in the moment, obviously, like you said, the last thing you want to hear is, everything has a purpose. There's a reason for everything happening, but when you reflect, once you've had that time to let your heart grieve, then you start reflecting back, you start realizing everything that has happened, that's happened beautifully as a result of, that event. And that goes with, there's I don't know if have you seen that Netflix special, about that family in South Carolina, the
No,
Murdaws or whatever, Murdochs.
I haven't watched it yet.
Okay.
I love mysteries. I will watch it. Yeah.
So there's one where it starts off with a boat accident, and one
Mm-hmm.
one
Mm,
one teenager, she dies,
right.
and the person who was driving it was this really wealthy family's kid. So long story short, they started looking into it more. Then he was under like investigation. Nothing happened, but then this large family was on their radar. Fast forward a couple of years, that kid and the mom get shot and killed from the
Mm-hmm.
husband. And fast forward even longer, they've been finding out that this family has been making people disappear for a long time and stealing money from a lot of their clients because they own like a law firm in like the deep South. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that unfolded, and these monsters were brought to light because of that one girl's, death. And like her
Yeah.
purpose was also to help all these other people in the
Yeah.
future not get affected by this one family. So it's like, and nobody would have realized that
Mm-hmm.
until you start reflecting and seeing and then connecting the
Mm-hmm.
dots.
Yeah. I shared this with someone the other day too. So our daughter, she lived for 2 weeks, and I learned something. It only hit me recently, and I said to someone, I said, what I learned from her and from this experience is that the definition of a full life has nothing to do with years on Earth, um, because she lived a full life. She made a huge impact in 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and changed people's lives. So it really brings it to the forefront of my mind, and what I want to continue sharing in this world is, okay, what am I going to do with my life?
Mm-hmm.
What am I going to help other people do with their lives? There's, like you're saying, there's impact and opportunity and blessings that come from every situation. You just have
Mm-hmm.
to have, as you said, your mind open, your eyes open to recognize what is in front of you.
Yep. And like you said,
Mm-hmm.
right, you literally said it perfectly. Like this time that we have here in this physical presence is not life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because where did we come from and where did we go? We came from somewhere, right? We were
Mm-hmm.
this not in this we were in a non-physical world before here. We came here to live our purpose and experience humanity for a short time. And then we go back. But where do we go back? We go
Mm-hmm.
back to where we came from. So we go back
Mm-hmm.
home. And there is some quotes from people on their deathbed that have said like, that they're excited because they're finally going home. So,
Mm-hmm.
and if we are energy, we're neither created nor destroyed. We're always here. So
Mm-hmm.
that means that even your daughter, right? She came in this physical presence for 2 weeks for a reason, and she went back home, and she's not
Mm-hmm.
gone. She's still with you, in you,
Mm-hmm.
and she's still waiting for you for when you're done with this physical world. Once you live your purpose and make the impact you're supposed to, right? So
Right.
we're always
Mm-hmm.
connected, and we're never gone. So like even with when we view death, and that's another thing too, to really like chase away all fears and look at life in a completely different perspective. You have to look at death in a completely different perspective as
Mm-hmm.
well, because
Mm-hmm.
death is not the
Mm-hmm.
end, right? That
Mm-hmm.
just means we're done with this physical world. We lived our purpose. We were here, right? Especially
Yeah.
when things happen where you're like, wow, that just randomly happened. No, you made the impact, and sometimes your purpose was to come in here into somebody's life, to then leave early, to then change their life as well. So
Mm-hmm.
you go back to where you came from. We're
Right.
not, we die, we're not ending, we're not done. You know what I mean? Like you could call it heaven, you call it whatever you want, but you just go back to where you came from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's funny that you said that. And I know we can probably end up talking on this for a really long time. But one of the things I realized, I've been an entrepreneur for 13 years and started out with having a coaching business, life coaching business, and it took me a while to realize that I needed to close that business because I felt like I was rejecting the gifts and talents that I had. But one of the things that I learned from over the years and from that experience is that the gifts and talents that you have, the vehicle may change. And it's the same thing you're saying, our presence here on earth goes away. You're just going to a different plane, a different place. But same thing in entrepreneurship and wherever, for the people who are listening, to tie this back all together, wherever you are right now that is not entrepreneurship, that is not real estate investing, or not where you think you want to go next, don't discard, what came before. Take the parts, the value from that, and just realize that the vehicle may be changing. There are certain things you're
Mhm.
going to need to still keep in the vehicle to go to the next
Mhm.
place. And so you have to take that time, I think. Someone asked me last week, what's one piece of advice that I would give someone on this journey, entrepreneurship, real estate investing, or anything else really? It's My advice is you have to know yourself. And so to be able to recognize that you're changing vehicles, you have and what you need to take with you, you have to know who you are. You have to take that time to assess and evaluate. But
Yep.
um, yeah, John, if you could tying all of the things together that we've talked about, we've talked about real estate a little bit, entrepreneurship, spirituality. If you could tie this all together for the person listening in a bow, what would you want them to take away, if nothing else, from this conversation?
I would say a couple things. First thing is monitor your thoughts, become very aware, because awareness is one of the biggest things that we could have, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really what everything is. Whenever you're focusing on, you're just aware of it in the first place, right? I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what's going on behind me because I'm not aware of it. So become
Mm-hmm.
aware of your thoughts. Be really aware of what are you saying to yourself? How are you speaking? What are the thoughts coming in? Where are your thoughts getting focused? Because wherever you put your thoughts, that's where you put your energy, and then that's what you're attracting into your life. If you have scarcity in your life, that's because your thoughts are on scarcity, and it sounds simple, right? I mean, it's not super easy for a lot of people to change their thoughts, but become aware of your thoughts and start shifting those thoughts, because
Mm-hmm.
God doesn't know what scarcity is. He just knows. They just know God knows unlimited supply, right? So if you
Mm-hmm.
have thoughts on scarcity, you'll get an unlimited supply of scarcity.
Mm-hmm.
So really monitor where your thoughts are going, how your emotions are, because your emotions are a barometer for how you're vibrating. You can't vibrate high and have low emotions. So if you're really
Mm-hmm.
low, figure out ways to bring yourself up. So become aware
Mm-hmm.
of your thoughts, become aware of your emotions. And then the most important thing you could start doing, I really think, I love journaling because I like reflecting on my life. I like to write all this stuff down, and that also helps me grow as well. But I love to meditate, sit in silence, have conversations with yourself. If you don't like
Mm-hmm.
where you are in your business, or you don't like what's going on, don't focus on what is. If you don't like it, only focus on what you intend to create.
Mm-hmm.
But have these conversations with yourself. Like, yeah, I want to build a $1 million business. Why? The 7 levels of why is a really good exercise. And anytime you feel a
Yeah.
little off, like I feel like I got to be doing this, have the conversation with yourself. Very too often, do a lot more than not, people just don't like to talk to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Speak to yourself all the time. The only person who give you your answers that you're looking for is God, is your source. But you only get those answers when you look inside and you speak to yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
I know when I was younger, not younger, a couple of years ago, maybe like 6, 7 years ago, I struggled heavily with depression, like
Mm-hmm.
very, very, very depressed. And it went on for like 2 years. I just
Mm-hmm.
felt like I was in this gray cloud all the time. I just didn't want to do anything. Like I just didn't do it. I didn't want to do anything, right? Because I was just
Mm-hmm.
so depressed. But something, I don't know how, it led to another. After 2 years, I finally just one day was like, wait a second, like it's my thoughts. I could control my thoughts. And if I could control
Mm-hmm.
my thoughts, I could control my life. And I just started thinking differently. And then
Mm-hmm.
literally within a day, I noticed a complete change. Everything looked brighter. Everything was happier. And
Yeah.
it's what I started focusing my thoughts on. So becoming aware of your thoughts doesn't matter what you want to do in your life. You won't know what you want to do in your life unless you speak to yourself and you have that clarity with yourself, and then have those thoughts banish all that doubt that whatever you intend to create, you'll be able to create. Just
Mm-hmm.
stay connected, become aware of your thoughts, become aware of your emotions, and know you are the creator and co-creator of your life. So if you don't like what's going on right now, you don't like the story you're telling yourself, change the story, change what you're
Mm-hmm.
focusing on, and don't want or need anything. Intend to create, because if you want something or need it, you'll always be in a state of wanting and needing. Just
Mm-hmm.
intend what you want to create and live like it's already manifested, and everything that you intend to create will come to fruition. This
Mm-hmm.
whole external reality is only a direct reflection of what we see inside. So when we
Right.
start creating that stuff inside, everything on the outside will just happen. It has to. It's the way the universe works. So
Awesome.
whatever you
Thank
want
you,
to do,
John.
get really strong on your mindset.
I love that. And for goodness sake, everybody, just don't try to look at somebody else's life and think, let me try to imitate that, because you don't know what's going on with them. So just focus on you. Just focus on you and work on that. So,
Yep.
John, this has been an awesome conversation. I hope everybody's gotten value out of this, taken a lot away from it. I know we didn't get in specifically about a real estate deal, etc., but I think the things that we talked about are the foundation for doing well in whatever you choose to do. So thank you for this time. If people want to connect with you, how do they connect with you?
Yeah, so they could follow me on Instagram. It's at John Galan and then REI. Just John Galan REI. That's my Instagram. You could follow me on Facebook as well. Just John Galan. If you have deals in Florida, send them to deals@snapflip.net. And then in the bio of my Instagram handle, in my bio, there's a link tree. I have tools that I've created to help other wholesalers out. And you'll join my newsletter. And then every Monday I put out a poll. Every Thursday I put out the content, whatever is the top voted for topic or tool. I'll put that out on Thursday. And I'm just trying to help as many new people or even people that just are, don't have the momentum they want or struggling. So, and what you said, we didn't talk about real estate, but honestly, real estate or whatever you do, if you have the right mindset, it doesn't matter what you do. You'll be successful at, because you will realize you have to be successful before you can be successful. So get that mindset right. Is no matter what you do, it does not matter.
It's everything. It's everything. Yes. Well, John, thanks again. This has been fantastic. You guys, I'm Hayya. You can follow me on Instagram. You see it there on the screen. You can also check me out on Facebook as well. And check me out on YouTube. You can type in my name and find me there and other content that we're sharing. So thanks again, John. I'm excited to know you, and thank you for sharing all of that wisdom that you did.
Thank you for having me. I'm very grateful for being on here and, connecting with you. I always love connecting with people, and this is going to be great. So I'm excited to watch your podcast grow. Now that I know you, I could watch you grow as well. So thank you so much. I'm honored to be on here.
Awesome. Thank you, John. Take care.
You too.